So I have really bad anxiety. Always had bad anxiety. But I never knew what kind of anxiety I had. I also have tons of stories about it. All the craziness that I've encountered when it was all in my head and I was just irrational. It's really, I do have some interesting stuff to share. And so I thought about just making it into a little series of mine. To explain what I mean by crazy and irrational, I'll explain kind of how anxiety is on the brain. So if you have a panic attack, it's a lot of it's your adrenaline system thinking you're in danger when you're not, and so it ends up becoming really chaotic and like you just don't know what's going on. But everything seems normal, but your body and your mind is just like nope, 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 nope. Um, it can be treated. It's a common disorder to have. Everyone has it every now and then. A lot of help and stuff really deals with it. But what I mean by crazy and like irrational, okay, so sometimes if you have really bad anxiety, you will get irrationally paranoid. You'll think things are happening, but they aren't. Like stuff like you'll think you're dying of a heart attack. That's what I mean by craziness. And just psycho. No, not psycho, but just a lot of craziness. It's just like your reality kind of changes, so I guess it's kind of insane. But that's one of the ways to explain it. The setting for this adventure is in Universal Studios in high school senior year. It was a school band trip, and I was playing tuba in the orchestra thing, and that's where it was. And drive down there from I think a few states away from Florida. The overall experience at Universal, like all the rides and stuff, was really, really fun. However, though, there was a dark undertone lurking in the shadows that I never really knew what was going to happen. It was all unexpected. I had been seeing a therapist to help deal with my anxiety and cope, and was doing really, really well. However, though, I didn't really realize what kind of anxiety I had. I thought it was just normal, common one. But there's a thing I learned. I had a panic disorder, agoraphobia. And another thing too is this is the first trip I ever taken out of state without any family at all. No sister, no parents, none of that. And so it was a new experience for me, and I thought I was prepared. Unfortunately, though, I really wasn't. I had no issues on the bus ride except for the fact that my iPhone and my iPod died, so I had no music to listen to, but I fell asleep. All was fine. It was all good. Whatever, though, on the bus ride we got there, the hotel room we ate, that was all fine. However, though, slowly and slowly and slowly, I felt more anxious, and I was like, oh, it's fine, I'll be fine. I just got worse, and it couldn't stop. And throughout those days, it just got worse and worse and worse. And when I had gotten set up in the hotel room, everything, we were gonna go to this one park, I was all like, yes! I got dressed. The girls in my room were really nice and chill. I had no issues with them. And like there were some things I was kind of annoyed. Like I'm so used to my sister being directly honest with me, and I had to put on an outfit, and I was like, "What do you guys think?" And they said, "You do you, girl." And I'm like, "That really helps me. It really, really does." Oh my goodness. But I had found a little group of friends and everything, and I was hanging out with. We were all cool. However, though, I felt like there was some underlying drama going on, and it built up. Like the first day I hung out with these other people. I didn't go on many rides, but I just kind of hung around with them. It was all good. But dinner and stuff was all good, though I was still kind of getting anxious and anxious. Well, the next morning, after I was like, "Mom, I think I'm gonna die," on the phone, like I was all like worried, but they're all telling me, "You're fine, you're fine, you're fine." But that night I kind of slept anxiously. I couldn't really focus, and then after dinner and all that, go to bed. Then next morning I end up throwing up in the toilet. I usually when I get really anxious and stressed, I will throw up. But so I kind of expected it, and I thought, oh, it'll just be the issue I have. But throughout the day, when I went to breakfast, I could barely eat some food, and I was able to eat like fried potatoes, but I was just kind of like, it just wasn't. I just couldn't eat. And then we went to the park. I had dressed up really nice, and I had followed this parade. The band, some friends are all taking pictures, all fun. But all good. I hung out with some people, and slowly getting anxious. Like I felt like I was getting sicker. I couldn't stop myself from getting sicker. It was getting sicker and sicker. What happened? I would drink water. I couldn't eat anything though, and I'd go wait in lines. If it was like a crowded line, I would feel like I was going to throw up because I had claustrophobia going on, and I just didn't know what was going on, and I wouldn't stop. And then I had talked with somebody, but somebody had said something that kind of set me off, and so I had started to think people were on to me. And I had ended up going in the shower at night after I had some food and everything. Very little food. I went into the shower and started crying. Because it's like, oh, no one can hear me cry. I don't want anybody to hear me because people will be like, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And I really do not like that. I've always been taught to just be quiet, hold it in, and then when you're alone, burst out crying. But I didn't have that little alone time, so the shower was my only way of crying. But anyways, like I think one of the girls in that room had heard me cry. It was like, are you crying? Is everything alright? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just stressed out. It's okay, I'm fine. And went downstairs for dinner to go to the shopping world in Disney. And I had gotten into a conflict with somebody, and it made me think, oh, people hate me, people hate me, people hate me, because this girl said, I'm gonna steal your boyfriend. And I was just like, what the fuck? What the hell? But yeah, I kind of got stressed out about that, and I was feeling, oh, people hate me, and so I was just like kind of keeping to myself, just observing, not talking to anybody, and getting paranoid that people are against me. And I ended up just kind of sticking with the group and being on the outcast side, not mingling, because I felt like I couldn't talk. I felt that. I felt like if I was in a large crowd, I would start to get sick. But like I couldn't go on my phone and like look at like other things online, like memes and stuff. I would just get all this dread. But I had made my way through that part. Then we got on the bus ride back to the hotel, and I was sitting with one girl, and I had the window seat so I could look out, but I still felt like I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And remind you, throughout this trip, I've been calling my dad, calling my sister. It's like, I'm like, ah! But I kept calling them, I wasn't really eating. But anyways, I had, on this bus ride, I felt like I was getting sick, I felt like I was gonna throw up. And I told my friend, like, can you tell them I feel like I'm gonna get sick? And then they ended up bringing me up to the front when I was sitting with the band director, the teacher. And he's like, it's okay, you'll be fine. And I ended up starting to cry and saying, like, they all hate me, everybody hates me. He's just talking to me. He's like, you're fine, Samantha. No one if people like you, you're good. You're a good kid. You're gonna be fine. No one's like up against you. No one's trying to hurt you or anything. No one's bullying you. None of that. And before then, there have also been times where it's like I would feel sick and like the thing would be water. And I had some classmates come up to me and were like, hey, are you okay? Are you fine? It'll be alright, Samantha. You'll be fine. You'll make it through this. Very encouraging, but I still felt like everyone was against me. And then I had cried and I got back. I left and go back to a hotel room. And on the elevator, I had some friends who were like giving me hugs. Like, they didn't know why I was upset. I really couldn't tell them. But they were all, they're like, oh, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you okay? A lot of this emotional outburst I just really couldn't control. And, I couldn't stop it. I couldn't say, like, in my head, I was like, stop this, Samantha, stop it, stop it. And it was really difficult, but, like, I was in the room, they decided to put me in a chaperone's room, and everything was all good. I tried eating, like, we went to, I can't remember what this restaurant was called, but we went there in a group thing. I tried eating, I couldn't eat. Like, the chaperone lady there was like, here, Samantha, just have some fruit. Try to eat. Try to eat. And I just couldn't eat. And after that outburst, I was in a chaperone's room, and then I had my own bed. I had no issues with the girls in that room. Like, I never was really bothered or anything. And I slept well with, like, the person who I was sharing a bed with. And I was, like, talking out to the chaperone about all the stuff I was experiencing. And I got some sleep. And the next morning, thinking, oh yeah, I've got my own little room to breathe and everything. And the band director saying, oh yeah, you're fine, like nothing's... I had people telling me this. I wake up and I still have this feeling of dread. Like, I feel like I was gonna go throw up and everything. Just throw out my guts. However, I had told my chaperone about this, and this lady, I've known this lady for quite a while, and she had known me, and throughout that trip and everything, she kind of kept an eye on me. I was telling her I felt like I was gonna throw up. I felt like I was gonna go through the same stuff again. And she had said, "Hey, I have some Valium. Are you thinking about that? Have you ever had that?" I'm like, "No, I don't even know what that is." And so I was like, "Yeah, if it helps me, I'll take it." And then, of course, she called my parents and explained the situation and say, "Hey, I have this prescription. Is it okay if I give your daughter some?" My parents were like, "Yes," because I had been calling them and they had known I've been like going crazy. And so throughout that one day, I stuck with these two these two siblings. I had hung out with them throughout the rest of the day while I was on Valium. I remember I could feel like the stuff wearing off, and I also learned that time I could eat chicken. Like, I could eat protein and it would make it last longer. But throughout the day, I'd meet up with the chaperone and they would give me Valium. And it really helped me out a lot, like, because I was all like, kind of panicky. And then now I had this medicine that took the edge off, so my thoughts, like, I could think about cats or something, or my pets. If I didn't have the medicine, I'd be feeling dread of my pets, like, oh no. It couldn't be stopped in my head. But then with the Valium, it's like, oh man, I feel normal. But that's a thing with your brain when you have anxiety is the nervous system that reacts to dangerous stimulus is just really sensitive. But anyways, after hanging out with the fans for the rest of the day and getting gifts and stuff at Universal, enjoying more of the rides, I went home. The chaperone gave me something that would help me sleep, and so I slept through the trip, and it was still kind of like traumatic and everything, but the last day kind of helped me out a lot, because I think if I was to go another day with the way I was the past few days, I would have probably ended up in the hospital. But mind you, I was still anxious afterwards, even without the medicine. When I was home and everything, I just went home and started playing with the dogs. Just kind of started just trying to relax. And it was all good. Really all good in the hood. And after that, I had talked with like my ex at the time and told him like I felt like his sister was trying to plot against me, and she wasn't really nice and being kind of mean. And that caused some other drama with the side of a family with me. I don't want to get into it. But how I figured out I had a thing going on. I really figured out what it was. Went to my therapist to tell her my trip, and as I was telling the story, I started bursting out crying. So I had no idea what was wrong with me, like why I would burst out on that. And then it came to the discussion of, well, you went on this trip without family, you've never been there before, you were experiencing a lot of stuff, have you ever had these before? And I told her, like, yeah, like I go out in public, if I go out in a store, it's sometimes crowded and I feel lightheaded and dizzy. There were other instances in the past few months that I've like experienced these feelings of dread in public. And then I went down like, oh yeah, I actually have like my aunt takes medicine for her anxiety, and she says it's fear of the marketplace. And my therapist was like, that's agoraphobia. And fear of places and situations. And I later learned I had more family members that had it. And I also learned, oh yeah, it's genetic sometimes, so I started viewing my anxiety as that kind of anxiety, and that actually really helped me, like, deal with what I have. There was some situations, like for a while, I didn't really get on medicine until like a while ago, but like when I learned what kind I had, I was able to do the things with people who have agoraphobia, do things to help me deal with it more, and it was really. Well, that concludes this episode of Anxiety Adventures. I probably have more. I do have to apologize if it is kind of confusing. It's been a while ago since I experienced this. I didn't really traumatize it that much because I didn't really know what was going on. I forgot people's names and why certain things were happening. But thank you so much for listening to my story. I'll probably have more and other more shitposted weird shit on this channel. Thank you so much.